I'd like to reconvene the regular meeting of the City Council Public Financing Authority. City Clerk, may I have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Twining.
Here.
Councilmember Kennedy.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem McKeon.
Here.
Mayor Burns.
Here.
Councilwoman Vandermark.
Here.
Councilmember Strickland.
Here.
Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Okay, can everybody please stand for tonight's invocation by Bob Ewing.
Would you all bow with me, please? Almighty God, we come before you tonight with gratitude for this great city of Huntington Beach and for all who serve within it. We thank you for the members of this city council, for their dedication and for the countless hours they invest in leading our community. We are also grateful for the city staff whose hard work ensures that our city runs smoothly and efficiently. Lord, we ask for your wisdom and guidance for all who are making decisions this evening. May they lead with integrity, fairness, and a deep commitment to the well-being of every citizen. Grant them clarity in their discussions, discernment in their choices, and a heart for service that reflects the best interests of Huntington Beach. We lift up our police and fire personnel who risk their lives daily to protect and serve us. Keep them safe, strengthen them in their duties, and bless their families who support them. In all conversations tonight, we ask for respect and a spirit of cooperation. May differing perspectives be met with open minds, and may unity prevail in the common goal of making Huntington Beach a thriving and welcoming place for all. Thank you for the privilege of gathering together in service to this city. May all we do here be honorable and just tonight. In your most holy name, Lord Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Okay, please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. City Attorney, do you have anything to report from closed session?
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Would any council member like to make a comment?
I
2
would.
minutes. Tony.
Mayor, I just want to thank everybody in the audience. This will be my last meeting as a city councilman here in Huntington Beach. I want to thank the community for putting the trust in me. One of the best honors I've ever had in my life is being mayor of this beautiful city. Being a councilman has just been very special to my heart. Huntington Beach is always going to be in my heart. I'm not going anywhere. I'm still living here in Huntington Beach. I'm still going to be watching the decisions made here at this council. I do want to thank the Fab Four for campaigning together. We were like family. We did 110 events together. Your family to me. The HB3, thank you. I wish I had more time to serve with you on this council. Us together is a magnificent seven. I got to enjoy it for a little while anyway. But I have the utmost faith that all of you are going to do a remarkable job representing the city as you always do. I love each and every one of you, and I want to thank the community for entrusting in me, and I will fight as your next state senator, fight for Huntington Beach up in Sacramento. Thank you.
Gracie.
I'd also like to congratulate Tony on his win for Senate. It's been wonderful serving with you and our team, our family here. We're going to miss you, but we're still going to be calling you. So thank you for all your guidance. I'd also like to invite the community to the Huntington Harbor Shell String Project. There are 2 meetings coming along. There's going to be one Friday, March 14th from 5 to 6 at the Huntington Harbor Yacht Club. For those who might not know about this or be aware of the Oyster Garden, the oysters purify our water. They clean it of excess nitrogen. So they're going to have 2 events. One of them for the community to come out and learn about the oyster strings. And the second meeting is April 6th, Sunday, April 6th from 10 to 1 at the Huntington Harbor Yacht Club, where they're going to be distributing some of the strings for those who want to participate in the program.
Anybody else?
I'd just like to say thank you to Tony. You really were such a servant leader, especially with us, the HB3, the way that you invested into us and developed us. We learned so much about campaigning and the institutional knowledge that you bring to the table. You've rubbed off on us. It's going to be hard to imagine what it's like to not have you here, but you are going to where you belong. And no doubt about it, you will be a legislative seal in the Senate. So we look forward to seeing you do the good work there.
Case.
Yeah, Tony, congratulations, man. It's been a good run these last 2 years. We've learned a ton from you. We were all rookies when we got elected, and you stepped in right away in the mayor's seat and kind of really blazed a trail for us. You know, the fight continues. You're just on a different battlefield, but our paths are always linked, and we'll continue to obviously to work together and look forward to having a strong voice up in Sacramento, really pushing policy that not only will help the state, but of course Huntington Beach. So we're proud of you, man, and go get them.
Butch.
Thank you. And Tony, I want to say thank you. Congratulations. I've looked at you as like kind of my big brother out here, even though you're a little, well, you're actually quite bigger. You're not my older brother, though. Thank you for all that you've taught me. Thanks for all your support. I'll miss you, but I'll keep an eye on you up there. So do good.
Don.
Tony, you've heard it from everybody here. You were integral in the success of the HB3, the Fab Four. You've done a lot for the city of Huntington Beach. You've weathered a lot of storms. You've been a true leader through thick and thin. You've stayed true to yourself, true to your beliefs, and you did what you thought was best for the city, and I admire that. And the best of luck up there. Go kick some butt.
I just want to say, Tony, I've said what I was going to say. You're a good man. I enjoyed working with you, and I look forward to our work together in the future. And I think that's it. City Clerk, do we have any supplemental communications?
Yes, Mayor, we have 36 supplemental communications. We've received a PowerPoint entitled Human Resources Department, received from Marissa Sir, Director of Human Resources. Under the City Manager's report, a PowerPoint entitled Finance Department, received from David Kane, Interim CFO. Under the consent calendar, number 12, 3 email communications. Number 13, 7 email communications. Under the administrative items, we received a PowerPoint entitled City Manager Employment Agreement, received from Marissa Sir, Director of Human Resources. Number 16, 1 email communication. Number 17, 12 email communications. And number 18, 11 email communications.
All right, City Clerk, do we have anyone signed up to speak?
Yes, Mayor, we have 47 speakers.
47. All right. And folks, I just want to ask you, when you guys are speaking out in the audience, believe it or not, it really resonates up here. We can hear a lot of the conversation. It comes as like a disturbing vibration, especially if you get back in that hallway. So if you leave, please keep your conversations out those doors or at a very, very light whisper. It's kind of a pain in the rear to like try to listen to the speakers and concentrate, and then hear the buzz from people talking in the audience. So with that, again, proper decorum. I'm telling you, at some point, people are going to start being removed if they keep interrupting and being disrespectful. But proper decorum at the city council meeting is imperative in order for the public to remain informed about issues pertaining to the city's business. Public comments portion of the meeting is an opportunity for the public to be heard and address those issues in a public forum. It's also a chance for you to listen, so please don't interrupt other people speaking. Disruptive behavior, impeding or delaying our ability to conduct the council's business will not be tolerated. Penal Code Section 403 prohibits disrupting this meeting, and enforcement action will be taken for violations of this law. At this time, the City Council will receive comments from members of the public regarding any topic, including items on open session agenda. Individuals wishing to provide comment on items may do so in person by filling out a request to speak form delivered to the city clerk. All speakers are encouraged but not required to identify themselves by name. Each speaker will be given 1 minute unless the volume of speaker, well, I'm already reducing the time for the allowance. Please note that the Brown Act does not allow discussion of the action or action on topics that are not on the agenda. Members of the public who would like to speak directly with a council member on an item not on the agenda may consider scheduling an appointment by contacting the City Council's administrative assistants at 714-536-5553 or emailing the entire city council at city.council@surfcity-hb.org. Or fill out a blue card if you want to give it to one of the officers there, and they'll get it to us, and we'll try to get a hold of you to talk to you if there's some subject matter you'd like to talk to us about. City Clerk, please call the first 10 speakers.
Mr. Amory Hanson, Barbara Richardson, Andrew Einhorn, Paula Schaefer, Cindy, Regina Blankenhorn, Don McGee, Pat Goodman, Tom McNamara, TJ England.
First speaker, please.
Good evening, Mayor Burns, City Council. Sorry I snuck in. Dave Shankman with the Kite Connection up on the world-famous Huntington Beach Pier.
I didn't recognize you.
I know, right? So with a minute, I don't know if that's enough time for you to recover from the extreme excitement and euphoria of the announcement I'm about to give you. However, I'm here to announce Kite Party 21 this weekend. You guys, you can do it. As you know, it's become one of the premier kiting events in the country. We have 100 of the best kite flyers from around the world converging on our wonderful beach, hanging out, flying kites for a couple days. No schedule of events, just a lot of fun. I would also like to congratulate Tony on your win. Good luck in Sacramento. And you guys, congratulations for signing an all-star, claiming an all-star off of waivers in Mike Vigliota as a city attorney. Stoked to have Vig back, so welcome back, Mike. Do you need a minute to recover from the excitement?
What was the times on that?
All day. I'm picking up my UK flyers at the airport in about an hour. They're already here, and it will be from roughly 10 a.m. until dark. But those guys are going to be out there 7 o'clock. Thank you.
All right,
Have a
thank
great
you.
night.
Next speaker, please.
There are no pornographic or obscene books in the library or in its children's department. It is illegal for publishers to sell or market such books for children and teens. Every book in the library has been positively reviewed by accredited review sources. Restricting access to books you personally don't like is censorship. The ACLU is suing the city because of censorship. You're deciding for the parents and for the teens what is and is not appropriate. However, the books you are so worried that children and teens might see in the library can just as easily be seen at any Barnes & Noble without a parent present. All children 12 and under must be accompanied by an adult while at the library. If you don't want your children to read certain library books, then don't let them check them out. Nobody is forcing you, but you do not have the right to tell other parents what their children can or cannot look at. What right does council have to tell any teen who is not their child what he or she can read by restricting their access to certain library books? Teens are citizens and they have rights too. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Andy Einhorn. Council members claim that Huntington Beach voting is unsecure. Yet the Orange County Grand Jury report entitled, "Is Voting Alive and Well in Orange County?" And on page 19 of the Grand Jury report confirms the 2024 election was fair, secure, transparent, and no fraud or interference was known. Even after all of this, you still make accusations about voter fraud without any evidence. Where is your data? Who published it? How many voter fraud cases have you reported to the Orange County District Attorney? Todd Spitzer spoke on May 15th. Many people claim voter fraud, but yet provide no evidence. So why are we wasting money to try to run our own elections? You can't even stop.
Next speaker, please.
Council members, Paula Schaefer, regarding items number 17 and 18 on the agenda. Just do the right thing, adopt the ordinances as written in the initiatives tonight. You have the authority to do this. You'll save a lot of money. On February 18th's meeting, the Mayor Pro Tem mentioned that he wanted more public-private partnerships. I do have a suggestion to further that goal. When one person or a group of people volunteer their time in service to the city, these people are often doing work that the city would normally have to pay for. You stated regarding the park volunteers, we gave them what they wanted or needed. You have it backwards. The city is obligated to maintain the park, not the volunteers. So the city is not giving the volunteers anything. The city is performing its function. It was not gifting the volunteers anything. When someone does something that they are not obligated to do and they do it for you, why wouldn't you just say thank you? The volunteers that help support the city's institutions deserve a thank you, not complaints that the volunteers were not grateful enough to the city for doing what the city is supposed to do.
Thank
Say
you, ma'am.
thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Next speaker, please.
This is a nod to Black History Month that came and went in February. The Pacific Beach Club, one of 3 designated segregated beaches in Southern California, as described in a newspaper photo dated January 21st, 1926, burned down to smoking pilings 3 weeks before its grand opening. The club met opposition. It was located in Huntington Beach, a little south of where the pier is now. The club met opposition from chambers of commerce in Huntington and Newport Beach and other cities. Huntington Beach tried to keep electricity and water from running to the club. 2 men were seen running off and sped away in cars. The fire was small enough that a garden hose would have extinguished it. Historian Daniel Caddy suspects the KKK, Ku Klux Klan, which was active in Huntington Beach, may have set the fire. Others questioned financial issues. The landowner was later convicted. Could be all of those. So the question is, what if...
Thank you, ma'am. Next speaker, please.
T.J. England. I would please like you to get these petitions on the ballot. Thousands of Huntington Beach voters have signed these petitions. They aren't stupid. They knew what they were signing. So please let us vote for those. And I want to acknowledge Chris Cluey's speech here at the last meeting.
Please let the lady speak.
He is amazing. And as far as the Central Park issue, to have 1,000 to 2,000 people driving around the library on the streets surrounding us is going to be a nightmare. And I dread coming to each meeting now. I have friends who can't come because it makes them too crazy.
Thank you, ma'am. Next speaker.
My name is Cindy. The City Council mentioned they will not take a political stance on flags, and the types of flags allowed to be displayed have been enshrined into the city charter. That's very fair. I agree with that. But please be consistent with representing all of us, especially with this plaque, the MAGA plaque. You all have taken a political and partisan stance by donning the MAGA red hats during your swearing in. Per OCVote.gov GIS database for the 2024 general election, yes, you did indeed win 52% of the vote, but not quite the supermajority. Further, President Trump won 43% of the vote in Huntington Beach with an 81% voter turnout. The remaining did not vote for president. We have no way of knowing how they would have voted. So to approve this design for the plaque is nothing but divisive. America had always been a great nation, no matter who the president was. It never needed the MAGA propaganda slogan. I respectfully ask that you fulfill your duties as an elected, nonpartisan city official and not as an elected propagandist.
Next speaker. Next speaker, please.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Tom McNamara. I'm a citizen. I think my topic is going to be out from left field for you folks. I don't understand. This is my first city council meeting. I don't understand why there was a prayer at the beginning. Honestly, I don't care if you guys are red, blue, green, or purple. It doesn't matter to me. And I don't care if you believe in God or not. Keep it at home. Please don't bring it into the office.
Please let the man speak uninterrupted.
So I don't have much time, but I really want you to think about how, when you officially sanction religion, what that does and what that's going to do to America in different communities. So by doing that, exactly, by doing that, you're correct, then Dearborn, Michigan, which is predominantly Muslim, can then say Islam is their official religion. Do we want that in America?
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, please.
Blankenhorn. Last year, a majority of the City Council passed a Parents' Right to Know ordinance. And I agree that it is my right to know what my child is doing and reading. And when I say it is my right, I mean it is my responsibility, not the government's and not the library's, mine as a parent. It is also my right to bring my children to the library and let them find books to take out. It is my right and responsibility to expose them to the wonders of the library. And it is my responsibility to see what books they are reading. However, I want those books there where they can access them so I can say yay or nay. As they get older and more curious, I want them to feel comfortable looking for books with answers. That is how we learn. That is how we create contributing members of society. Being curious is how we grow. And I want them to have the freedom to read whatever they want.
Next speaker, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Mr. Amory Hanson. I'm speaking tonight to thank Councilman Strickland for his service on council, particularly being the 85th mayor of Huntington Beach. I would like to reiterate my interest in being on the council. I am hopeful the council will consider supporting Mr. Amory Hanson, a historic choice. I have heard from many residents a desire to have vacancies on the council chosen by we, the people. Recent election results reflect this desire. I would encourage the City Council to hold a special election or appoint a placeholder for the vacancy. It is also my intention to run in the 2026 general election. I thank Councilman Strickland for his service. I trust the council to continue to make Huntington Beach a great place to live. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Don McGee, 24-year resident of Huntington Beach. I want to thank Tony Strickland for his service to this city. He's the tie that binds, and I pray blessings on you in Sacramento. I know you're going to take the spirit of Huntington Beach with you. I also want to say that there's never been a time in human history where graphic depictions of sodomy have been held up as virtuous by librarians to our children. In past generations, men would have gone down to the library with pickaxe handles because of this stuff. So I just pray that you carry on with this, all you people. We are listening to you, and we know what you're doing, and so does America. Keep doing it, because we're pushing back. This is a restoration. It's not a revolution. We're actually coming back to our founding values. So thank you very much to the people of Huntington Beach and these people on the City Council for leading the way. Thank you.
Next speaker, please. Sir, go ahead.
How much time do I have?
1 minute.
Great. Starting in 2026, the city of Huntington Beach is facing an $8.8 million shortfall. We promised our firefighters and police pensions we can't cover. We don't want to raise taxes or cut public services, but we can't do it all. Instead of pulling the city together to solve hard problems, you're dividing us by putting MAGA plaques in the library. You don't have time for that. Get to work. You're fighting the state over pointless voter ID laws. Our voting works so well that only an estimated 6 out of 1 million ballots are fraudulent. You don't have time to optimize those problems. Get to work. You're busy telling librarians which books to put on shelves instead of asking librarians which books to read to balance the city budget. You don't have time for that either. Get to work. It's time to focus on your city instead of admiring your names on Fox News. Get to work.
City Clerk, can you please call the next 10?
Yvonne Schwab, Rita Reed, Wendy Rincon, Sarah Kane Durham, Joshua Soso, Marilyn Boehm, Diane Bentley, Rick Brown.
Step up, please. Maybe next time. This time we'll call them in the next order.
Okay. I think you called me Joshua Sosa. and
Oh, no,
I'm-
you're good, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Joanne Sosa.
All right.
Okay, yes, I would like to speak with regards to the library, and you already know why I'm here. With the sign saying, listen to us, I want you to also listen to the children's voices, the ones that can't be here. Not every child is hanging out in Barnes & Noble to hang out like they're trying to say, to see some sexual kind of discussing stuff we've seen in the school before. If they're going to see that in the library, it's just like a movie. You don't let your kids go to see an R-rated movie if they're underage. You don't let children go see a porn movie. Why are books in the library? As we showed you last time, you remember this. You opened the books, we brought them, they were here. Kids poking each other's butts going, what's this? Let's go do this and play with that and suck on this. Now that sounds gross to you, but that's exactly what's going on. Why should that be around your kids? It's disgusting. And yes, if you paid attention, America turned the page, an election happened, and President Trump won, and we are taking America back. So for all them pushing, I side with all of you that says we're going to push back. That's important for our kids, for our future, for this generation that's coming up, and for all you who've been
Thank you, ma'am.
God bless.
Next speaker, please.
When I had the opportunity 30 years ago to buy my house in Huntington Beach, I thought I'd arrived in the best city in the world. We were a town with an easygoing vibe, great schools, a safe environment, and a responsive government. I was proud. We had the best library, and I was proud to be part of our city. Within the past year, politics was introduced to our council. LGBTIA rights and diversity were targeted. Taxpayer money was spent on useless lawsuits. Why? Just when I felt the most hopeless, I learned that the Attorney General's lawsuit against passage of Measure A can go forth. Further, the ACLU has filed a lawsuit prohibiting the city from censorship of our books. We are fighting back. Residents are marching, signing petitions, and Chris was arrested for peaceful civil disobedience about the MAGA plaque. I am proud again.
Next speaker, please.
I'm here to speak Chris Cluey's words again. Everyone is in favor of a plaque to celebrate the library, but the vast, vast majority are against including a MAGA acrostic. Unfortunately, it's clear this council does not listen, so instead I am going to say what MAGA really stands for. MAGA stands for trying to erase trans people from existence, for resegregation and racism, for censorship and book bans. MAGA stands for firing air traffic controllers while planes are crashing, for firing the people overseeing our nuclear arsenal. MAGA stands for firing military veterans and those serving them at the VA. MAGA stands for cutting funds to education, including for disabled children. MAGA is profoundly corrupt, unmistakably anti-democracy, and most importantly, MAGA is explicitly a Nazi movement. You may have
Next speaker, please. Next speaker, please.
Are your actions and behavior how you want to represent Huntington Beach to the world? Huntington Beach fought to get the title Surf City to entice people from all over the world to come and enjoy our beaches, our restaurants, our shopping. This brings wonderful revenue to our city in a positive way. But more than that, Huntington Beach wants people from all over the world to feel they can come here on holiday and feel welcome and part of our community. The unfavorable press your plaque has generated is that Huntington Beach is closed-minded, uncivil, prejudiced, unfriendly, disrespectful, and not really welcoming of visitors unless they are MAGA supporters. We question what you really had in mind when you created the plaque. This plaque should be about the community.
Thank you, ma'am. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, Mayor Burns and council members. We continually hear the false narratives projected from the left about MAGA. So let's set the record straight. Today, MAGA stands for something bigger than politics. We are God-fearing. We stand for America, its strength, its prosperity, and undeniable greatness. MAGA isn't a slogan, it's a movement. It's the greatest political movement in U.S. history. We believe in economic growth, businesses, record low unemployment, wages rising from hard-working Americans. We believe in unleashing the power of American industry, reducing burdensome regulations, and putting American workers first. We also stand for strong borders, because without borders, we have no nation. We believe in legal immigration, fair policies, and protecting American jobs. Every country has a right to secure its own borders, and the United States is no different. We must enforce the rule of law and keep our communities safe. MAGA is about national pride, honoring our flag, our history, the brave men and women who defend our freedoms.
All right, thank you.
And we reject the idea.
Next speaker, please. All right, please keep conversations down. Next speaker.
So I want to talk about the embarrassment from this council and their crew to wildly slander anyone who challenges their agenda, whether it be Chris Cluey, the ACLU, or your political opposition. About Chris, some of you claimed he was dangerous and lied to suggest he was making threats. About the ACLU, you claim that they're a pedophilic organization since they've defended NAMBLA in court, despite the fact that they've also defended the NRA and the Westboro Baptist Church. And Chad, you went so far as to call Democrats a deranged cabal. This is shameful. This is shameful behavior from a supposedly nonpartisan council that voted last year to tell everyone that this is a free speech city. And Chad, since we've talked about your social media, you mentioned that these people can't even explain what a woman is. That's awful rich coming from a man who doesn't recognize a Nazi salute when he sees one. Thank you.
Next 10 speakers, Brenda, Charlie, Brian Vea.
Hey, next 10 speakers, please.
Brenda, Charlie, Brian Vea, Ellie Redshaw, Ken Inouye, Kelly Self, Jignesh Pidar, Kevin Rue, Lori, Michael Vardalos, Savannah Finch.
Good evening. Butch, Dawn, Casey, Mayor Burns, Gracie, Tony, Chad. Thank you for everything that you guys do. I am totally in support of everything that's going on in this city. We are the tip of the spear. We make things happen in the city, and I support all that you're doing. Tony, thank you very much for what you've done. You were there when our city needed leadership, and I'm not a GOP person at all. I'm a Trump person. There's a lot of people in the GOP that I don't like. I can say a lot of names. You know, they might as well be Democrats. Nonetheless, Tony is a good guy. Thank you for everything that you've done in the city. Thank you. And to all of those that are here, that are making noise, thank you again for bringing attention to all these things that are happening in our city. That, again, we have libraries. We have the voting. And all of you are here to support us. Thank you very much.
All right.
Love you all.
Next speaker.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Jignesh Patiar, lifelong resident.
Excuse me. Please keep it down.
No
Let-
worries. No worries. Tony, again, thank you and congratulations on your new position. You really set the tone for the city council coming in after the Fab Four for the direction Huntington Beach is going in. And I think we're going to keep those sails kind of keep going the same with the wind on that as well. And so really great job on that. It seems like everyone's up at arms about pornography in the library, and it sounds like it's about education, because that's what they may want to seem like. But the reality is, I mean, it's so funny. I was watching today's press briefing that the mayor and Gracie unveiled. The Huntington Beach video literally went blue, and it said there are sexual images displayed, and the Huntington Beach channel will not display them. It literally showed that. So how can we have that on our channel, but then expect the public library to have the exact same images there? A little bit of a misconstruction there. Another one, too, is, you know, guys, Trump won unanimously in the last election. Nameless base calling isn't going to work. So we're going to come through hard.
Hey!
It's great. It's great. It's working. It's working.
Next speaker, please.
These are Chris Cluey's words from the last city council meeting that he was unable to say because he ran out of time. MAGA stands for hate and fear, and the idea that we should have a king instead of co-equal branches of government. MAGA stands for a version of America that would appall the founders of this country because they explicitly warned about this exact situation in the Federalist Papers multiple times. Every single thing MAGA stands for is what the Nazis did. Eugenics, racism, blind loyalty to the leader over what benefits the community as a whole, removal or destruction of knowledge deemed unsavory, removal of groups deemed unsavory, sustained assaults on science, reason, and logic, ceaseless propaganda that has no basis in reality, the promotion of fools, imbeciles, and charlatans to positions of power, the threat to take everything you have unless you give it to them first. MAGA stands for a heroin.
Thank you, ma'am. Next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Kelly Self, and I'm a 10-year public educator. I grew up going to the library every week. I honestly would rather be at home reading a good book right now. However, the intention behind the MAGA plaque angered me enough to bring this introvert to action. As the community made clear at the Library Commission meeting last Tuesday, everyone is in favor of a plaque to celebrate the library. I am, because I, again, attended the library a lot. But the vast, vast majority are against including the MAGA acrostic. I stand in solidarity of Chris's actions of the time-honored American tradition of peaceful and civil disobedience. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
I'm here because I care. I care about Huntington Beach, our country, and our kids' future. We're tough and diverse, different backgrounds, beliefs, stories. That's our strength. But our MAGA council and mayor divide us. Gracie, slapping MAGA on the library's 50th anniversary plaque, a childish stunt to push your agenda, not to honor our library, its history. I'm surprised you also didn't put the letters M-U-S-K on it. This MAGA mess exploits fears, spreads lies, hurts workers, and helps the rich. Their lies just demonize and divide. MAGA trashes democracy, picks fears over hope, and turns us against each other. MAGA insults allies, weakens us globally, and forgets the poor. That's failure, not leadership. Huntington Beach deserves better. No culture wars, just lower costs, safer streets, and a fair shot for all. Not attacks on Democrats, LGBTQ, or immigrants or others. Real patriotism is respect, not hate. A lying wannabe king threatens our democracy. We can choose unity.
Thank you, ma'am.
Deserve it. Our kids deserve.
Next speaker, please.
My name is Kevin Rue, and I'm a 3-year resident of Huntington Beach, and I am here tonight in support of Chris Cluey, who should not have been arrested for exercising his right to free speech, and he should not have been fired for being a good influence on young football players. And I, too, am here to remind you of what MAGA stands for. You're all proud of it. You said it 8 times tonight. MAGA stands for trying to erase trans people from existence. MAGA stands for resegregation and racism. MAGA stands for firing the people overseeing our nuclear arsenal. It stands for firing military veterans and those serving them at the VA. MAGA stands for hate and fear and the idea that we should have a king instead of co-equal branches of government. MAGA stands for the deliberately trashing today's economy with tariffs and mass firings so oligarchs can pick up the rubble. And I see no oligarchs.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker.
Hi, I'm here to speak against 25-165. I support the gradual electrification of space heaters and water heaters. I know I can't change your mind, but I hope that when you write a letter for Huntington Beach, that it is not full of out-of-date concerns and misinformation like the Yorba Linda note. First, the Yorba Linda letter claims that the change will have severe impacts on multifamily units, but the ordinances right now are going to give exceptions to that. The concern is invalid. Second, the Yorba Linda letter makes outdated complaints. Heat pump technology has come great lengths in recent years, and commercial units are in place. The cost of replacing units is overstated. Third, claiming that the additional costs will cause people to move away from Huntington Beach is somewhat absurd. Not building new housing in Huntington Beach is raising costs more. But once those new units are in, the cost per unit will go down. Fourth, water heaters have an insignificant impact.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker.
One of the biggest issues on the ballot this year for voters was safety. And the reason that each and every one of you is sitting up here today is because the majority of Huntington Beach put their trust in you to keep the city of Huntington Beach safe. And that's exactly what you are doing. You are doing your job. There are 2 types of people in this world. There are people that protect children and people that hurt children. These people back here, they want to hurt children. They want to exploit them. I was at the press conference. I saw the photos. I was so deeply disgusted and disturbed.
Hold on. Please respect the speaker and the audience and the people at home. Please do not talk or chip at her because she's speaking the truth or what she wants to say. Go ahead.
This city council has decided that they are going to be the side that has chosen to protect children. So thank you, continue to do your job, and we support you.
Next speaker, please.
Good evening, my name is Kenny Nowhite. I like my time back. My name is Kenny Nowhite, and Mayor Burns, as you know, I've respectfully requested a meeting with you to discuss the infrastructure plans for the city of Huntington Beach. And for the record, I've never declared that this city council was responsible for the $2 billion funding deficit that we have for infrastructure, because I realize it occurred before you took office. But one of the reasons I want the committee to be established is to make sure that the infrastructure plan includes the funds needed to prevent or reduce the impact of the horrific natural disasters that were described in the 2022 Local Hazard Mitigation Plan. I don't know if you've read it, but it says that most of Huntington Beach could be subject to liquefaction, including all of Huntington Harbor, should we have an earthquake. And for this reason, if the city fails to include these costs in the infrastructure plan, the city and residents could experience $1 million of avoidable losses and even the possible loss of lives. So please do your job.
Next speaker, please.
Good evening. The right-leaning New York Times read an in-depth article on Huntington Beach, and hundreds commented from New York, all over the Midwest, the Pacific Northwest, cities in California, and even some of our own residents. Huntington Beach used to be a great community, but thanks to the current city council, it has become a national, worldwide embarrassment. Embarrassing and sad to see Huntington Beach turn into a MAGA cesspool. I was in OC last week with my family, and we intentionally skipped Huntington Beach. There are better beaches, places to go. Remember, vacationers, and tourists, you have the power of the purse. There are many places to go besides Huntington Beach. I live 30 minutes away and would not spend 1 cent in Huntington Beach. Go north, go south. There are so many beach communities. And as you know, many of our businesses rely on both our resident and tourist dollars. Please do better.
Next speaker, please.
All right, I just want to say I think you guys are doing a great job overall. I'm sorry, I think you really do. And the reality is, I mean, I don't like bullies, and I understand why people may be critical of certain aspects of the MAGA movement and so on. But then I come here and I see people who are expressing a different opinion getting booed and shouted down by people who say they're for free speech and that you guys are and the city council is promoting censorship. But yet I hear all kinds of rudeness from the people who are supposedly defending that free speech and the right of the library to have what I saw earlier today, clearly pornographic images on the shelves of the children's library. This is not something like I came into this with an open mind, but I saw the images, I saw what was there on the shelves. Those shouldn't be on the shelves, and you guys did the right thing by removing them. I don't understand what the controversy is. I just wanted to say I support you guys. I was coming into this kind of trying to be neutral and open-minded, but then I saw with my own 2 eyes what Gracie showed earlier today at the press conference. I got to applaud what you guys have done. I just want to say that right now. Thank you very much for everything.
Thank you, sir. Clerk, next set of speakers, please.
Bethany Webb, Mike Selena, Guest P, Chris Sidlow, Dave Reinerson, Russ Neal, Grant T, Dave Scheckman, Marianne Cylinder.
I think Dave already spoke, didn't he? Yeah. Shake. Next speaker up, please. Oh. Next speaker, please.
I have the slides. What's your name? Selma, Mike Selma.
Sir?
She's getting slides.
Oh.
Mike Selma, 52-year resident. I'm speaking about item 13 related to the Air Quality Management District. Were you here in the 1970s?
Yeah.
The smog was so bad you couldn't see the mountains most days and your eyes stung. AQMD vastly improved our conditions, but our air is still some of the worst in the nation. Next slide. With these proposed rules, AQMD is just trying to do the right thing in terms of public health. Reduce new asthma cases by 16,000, hospital visits by 4,000, and premature deaths by 4,000. Do we really want to oppose that? Do we want to be on record as opposing rules that protect our health? Next slide, please. The American Lung Association supports these rules. Citizens can support them also by writing directly to AQMD, and it's important that we do that. You see on the screen how to do that. Honorable Council, please do not oppose these rules.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, please.
What made America great? National parks, the U.S. Forest Service, public schools, FEMA, USAID, NATO, the FDA, the EPA, the Financial Protection Bureau, real law and order, the NOAA, U.S. Postal Service, the VA, Social Security, the CDC, Human Health Services, the FAA, Department of Homeland Security, Housing and Development. There's not a person in this room that does not want America to be at its best. In the guise of finding fraud and abuse, DOJ has slashed and burned these very agencies that have made America great. We have been weakened. You have made your partisanship agenda local by attacking our libraries, privatizing our public spaces, and inviting lawsuits to wield your power. You have divided the city. We must have a very different definition of great.
Next speaker, please.
Dave Reinerson. I have up here a slide from the exact wording of Measure C from 1992. No public utility or park or beach or portion thereof, now or hereafter owned or operated by the city, shall be sold, leased, exchanged, or otherwise transferred or disposed of unless authorized by affirmative votes of at least a majority of the city council and by a majority affirmative vote of at least the majority of the electors voting on such proposition at a general or special election at which such proposition is submitted. Perhaps you should have read our charter before you approved the Symphony of Flowers. And Tony, you've left the room, but I think you can hear this. I also asked the council or the city if they had any evidence to support your claim that the majority of citizens are in favor of the Symphony of Flowers, and they said no such information exists.
Next speaker, please.
I come from a proud lineage of service members who have bravely defended our country in every branch of the military since World War II. Their unwavering commitment to the Constitution and the Pledge of Allegiance inspires me every day. It deeply troubles me to witness the erosion of our rights and the growing isolationism that contradicts our core values. The refusal to support the most vulnerable goes against everything we once held dear. To those in this chamber and your followers who embrace the ideologies reminiscent of Nazism, I say this: you are a disgrace to our nation and the principles embodied in the Pledge of Allegiance. I refuse to stand and recite that sacred pledge in the presence of those who portray its true meaning with their actions.
Next speaker, please.
I'm a big fan of hidden messages in things. Love movies like the Nick Cage classic National Treasure. But it's kind of weird how John Adams never did Jefferson sucks or something symbolic and just slid that into a monument. Though it would be fun to hear a national park tour guide try and justify to school children why one of our founding fathers was so petty. The only reason to add this message to the plaque is because you are petty little bullies, or you are all so stupid that you don't understand what the symbolism means. What is it? Are you bullies? Are you stupid? Both?
Feel free to fill out a blue card if you'd like to talk. Next speaker, please.
Good evening. My name is Russell Neal, and I live in Huntington Beach. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 10 reminds us that we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, so that each of us may receive what is due us for the things done while in the body, whether good or bad. Keep that in mind while you stand to protect innocent children against the evil that lies behind these petitions and lawsuits. The lies and personal insults you must endure are to be expected when you take such a stand for righteousness. Thank you, God bless you, and God protect and preserve the United States of America. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Everyone enjoying your 401k? I hope you really listen to the warning by Chris Cluey from the last city council meeting. Here are his words. I'm here to speak out both against the library plaque and current city council. As the community made clear at the Library Commission meeting last Tuesday, everyone is in favor of a plaque to celebrate the library, but the vast, vast majority are against including MAGA agnostic. Unfortunately, it's clear that this council does not listen, so instead I'm going to take my time and say what MAGA has stood for these past 3 weeks. MAGA stands for trying to erase trans people from existence. MAGA stands for resegregation and racism. MAGA stands for censorship and book bans. MAGA stands for firing air traffic controllers while planes are crashing. MAGA stands for firing the people overseeing our nuclear arsenal. MAGA stands for firing military veterans and those serving them at the VA, including canceling research on veteran suicide. MAGA stands for cutting funds to education, including for disabled.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Only corrupt.
That's it. You're done. Next speaker, please. Bye-bye. All right, next speaker.
Wendy Rincon, 50-year resident. Chris Cluey's speech continued. MAGA stands for heroin snorting junkie being placed in charge of the Department of Health, an abusive alcoholic devout wannabe crusader being put in charge of the Department of Defense, and a noted Putin apologist confirmed to run our intelligence services. Mitch McConnell voted against her confirmation, by the way. MAGA stands for ketamine-addled, unelected billionaire ransacking our private financial details with no oversight. He has access to his competitors' financial details, and the bulk of his fortune comes from a lucrative government contract. He also is trying to get his hands on NASA, one of the jewels of American public innovation, again, one of his competitors. MAGA stands for hate and fear and the idea that we have a king instead of co-equal branches of government. And because you keep cutting our time to 1 minute, Nazis lost the first time, you're gonna lose this time too. F you.
Bye-bye. Next speaker. Let the people speak.
I wanted to say I'm a 27-year resident. I raised my children here. I love Huntington Beach, and I want to continue to love it. And MAGA stands for hate and fear and the idea that we should have a king instead of co-equal branches of government. MAGA stands for a version of America that would appall the founders of this country because they explicitly warned about the exact situation in the Federalist Papers multiple times. Every single thing MAGA stands for is what the Nazis did in 59 days. We've got 6 weeks that we've been going. Eugenics, racism, blind loyalty to the leader over what benefits the community as a whole. Removal or destruction of knowledge deemed unsavory, book banning. Removal of groups deemed unsavory. Sustained assault on science, reason, and logic. Ceaseless propaganda that has no basis in reality. The promotion of fools, imbeciles, and charlatans.
Time's up. Next speaker, please.
Bethany Webb, Huntington Beach resident, patriot, agnostic, who is wondering, what are you hiding from us? You know that we don't like the library because you all ran, all of you, on how much we support the library. The three new Nazis put on their literature, library supporters, but you spoke against it. Now you're doing it again. Our three remaining Nazis had Measure U, and you said supports our library because you're liars, and you know it didn't, but you know. So what are you hiding from us? Is it the $15 million surplus we had when the Nazis took over, and now we have an $8 million deficit? What are you hiding from us? Is it the rules of the light show? Is it the new deal you're making? The air show, is it the new deal you're making for the light show? What are you hiding from us? Because you're circus. And you know it. We have enough signatures. We're going to...
Thank you.
Next 10 speakers.
Any more?
Larry Hirsch, Tim Geddes, James Elder, Chris Reaney, Chris Cluey, Zach Cash, Libby.
See what you started? Oh, welcome. Next speaker.
I would first like to thank the Huntington Beach Police Department for their professionalism in a stressful situation. I think it's a credit to their training and the way that they're attempting to protect all citizens of this town, and I appreciate it. Second, as I said 2 weeks ago, I do not want to be here. I don't want my city council to be a place of strife and divisiveness, but that's what you have turned it into. We see it when you bring in groups and have them chanting that people who support the library are pedophiles. How does that help us as a community? How does that help us as Huntington Beach residents? How does that convince people to come to Huntington Beach? It really doesn't. And you've heard from the community, all we want you to do is listen. We want you to debate things that we bring up. We want you to hear what the community has to say. Gracie, I would actually like to thank you for making us aware of the oysters. That's actually really cool. That's what city council meetings should be. So please, let's stop with the MAGA agenda and let's have a Huntington Beach.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening, Council. My name is Zach Cash. I am stoked about the beach, too, for our first speaker. I spent most of the afternoon there. What a beautiful place. I love Huntington Beach. I'm a kind of a visitor. I'm a firefighter in treatment for post-traumatic stress. Thank you. Huntington Beach is a beautiful city. It's changed my life. It's been called a beautiful conservative city. I disagree in that it's an American city. And we should be proud of that fact. I don't believe MAGA is an explicitly Nazi movement. There are certainly Nazis in the tent. But I do believe it is a movement. It's a movement that worships a false god, in my opinion. Good luck explaining that to your deity. What's the main event? I think we're missing out. Palestine. I could go on and on. Genocide, Israel. Follow it up. Thank you. I'm going to Tacos Dos Cholos. Good night.
Next speaker, please.
Larry Hirsch. Our library can teach us many things. Today we will consider the story of Narcissus, who could only gaze upon his own reflection until he wasted away to nothing. The vanity of our city council is so deep that they fail to see the needs of our own community. Our city is wasting away and they do nothing but congratulate themselves. They will stare at their MAGA plaque that does not celebrate our library but their political point of view. Our citizens provided you with 2 petitions that reflect the will of the people to leave the library alone. This council could accept those positions, but it will not. Instead, you impugn the reputation of library volunteers with surveys and intimidate them for doing their civic duty. The money you waste tonight could buy years' worth of books for kids. You are taking away from our children and giving to yourselves and your own self-image. No more is this vanity obvious than when you placed a Trump statue on this dais. Just like this statue, the policies of the 7 Zeros are nothing but a bust.
Next speaker, please.
A vocal group of people in town seem to delight in parading around overblown posters from the graphic book Genderqueer and claim that children are viewing this book. About 5 years ago, Gracie Vandermark followed the library procedure to change the location of the book from the teen section. The librarians agreed that it should be placed in the adult section, where it has been shelved ever since. It is beyond misleading to continue to show those images to fearmonger parents that their child could accidentally discover this book. Gracie's also been claiming that no puberty or anatomy books have been restricted. However, according to the city's own website, the list of books that have been relocated are all titles about puberty, anatomy, and biology. The whole point of a library is to read books about things you want to learn about. If the topic isn't available because some community members are uncomfortable, that defeats the purpose of a library. No one is forcing those people to look at or read any of those books that make them uncomfortable, but those people shouldn't be given the authority to take the freedom away from others. The city needs to stop wasting resources.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Hello, Council. My name is James. I want to address a couple things from the City Council meeting last week. Pat, you stated that you were displeased with the decorum of the recent City Council meetings, and especially the boos and cheers during the public comment portion. I want you to know that the decorum in these meetings is a direct response to the actions you, as a City Council, are making. If you are upset with the way the public is acting, it's because we, the public, are upset with you. So if you want us to act better, you need to lead better. If you want respect, you need to give respect. And the last thing I want to say to all of you here is that a woman stood up not 20 minutes ago in this hall and made a Nazi salute. That's deeply upsetting. You may not consider yourself a Nazi, any one of you, but what does it say about your actions that these are the people that you empower? Thank you.
Next speaker.
Hey, Butch. Unfortunately, it's clear that this council does not listen, so instead I'm going to take my time to say what MAGA stood for the last 4 weeks. MAGA stands for trying to erase trans people from existence. MAGA stands for resegregation and racism. MAGA stands for censorship and book bans. MAGA stands for firing air traffic controllers while planes are crashing. MAGA stands for firing the people overseeing nuclear arsenal. MAGA stands for firing military veterans and those serving them at the VA, including canceling research on veteran suicide. MAGA stands for cutting funds for education, including disabled children. MAGA is profoundly corrupt and mistakenly anti-democratic, and most importantly, MAGA is explicitly in that Nazi movement. I stand in solidarity with Chris's action and the time-honored tradition of not peacefully civil disobedience. And Gracie, don't lie to...
And next speaker, please.
Chris Reaney, Huntington Beach native resident. 2 weeks ago, I saw the best and worst of America in this room. When challenged, one party responded with threats while another got excited as they anticipated violence. No, Chris Cluey is not looking for 5 minutes of fame. That's a mangled Andy Warhol quote for 15 minutes of fame. Cluey is fighting for a better America for all. That is what patriots do. Our founding values were for egalitarianism, checks and balances, and the inherent rights of humans. MAGA strives to take away rights. Now, John 8:32 says, quote, "And you will know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." Repeating political lies endlessly does not make them the truth. Librarians and teachers are not the enemy. Please stop pushing your political personal agendas and do your job and listen to your constituents.
Next speaker.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Tim Geddes in the House. A sizable segment of our community is grappling with the question, why is the current City Council failing to make Huntington Beach great? Is it the overt partisanship on the dais and the adversarial attitude of the council members towards many of our residents? Is it the culture wars crusade against all the authorities who have differing or opposing views, thus leading to the spending of money, staff time, and other resources in this pursuit instead of solving local problems and focusing on real issues of concern to our citizenry? Is it the chasing away of many competent and qualified staff members, especially in our library system, who have been making our city great? The council needs to address this question squarely and answer it directly. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Well, I'm here to express my thanks to Chris Cluey, who probably is not here tonight. For speaking for the hundreds of us, the hundreds who have come to these meetings for months and have opinions and opinions and ideas and suggestions and want them heard. And to my knowledge, you have not taken up any suggestions or issues that we are concerned about, that the citizens of Huntington Beach are concerned about. And that's why he made that big, he had that big event, because he felt people are not being listened to here. So I just would like to know what issues of the many that we bring up have you ever, including the petition. You're trying to sink the petitions that 1,700 people signed, 17,000 people signed. You're trying to sink them and say that they didn't know what they were signing or they were misled. It just seems so unfair, so mean and mean-spirited.
Madam Clerk, are there any more speakers? Oh, Jesus, Roger. Roger, you going to speak? Yes, sir. Oh, okay. All right.
Give us 3 minutes. Even though if there's cameras or anything else, it's our 3 minutes. That's the only time that we get to speak. So let us speak. A minute, 2 minutes, it's not fair. If we're willing to wait and for the whole night or whatever, then we're allowed to speak for 3 minutes. It's not, I mean, now we have no clue. In the agenda, it says 3 minutes one place, it says 2 minutes one place, it says 1 minute over here. So we don't know what, please, 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 be considerate to us. Okay, and that's the thing that I really want to speak about today. So, and as new city members, I really, really feel sad because you guys are new, and everybody's yelling and all this stuff, and it's not you. Don't take nothing personally, and don't trust the chief of police over here because he was the one that ran all those guards in Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. He got kicked out of there.
Your minute's up, Roger.
Please.
That concludes the last speaker.
Bummer. Council committee appointment announcements. Do we have any council committee appointment announcements? Not seeing any. We're going to move on to AB 1234 reporting.
Yes, Mayor, I met with the MEO representatives this week.
All right. Huh? Yeah, that's next one. That's the next one. All right, there is no more. All right, openness and negotiation disclosures. Anybody? Take what Butch said a minute ago, and that'll be it. City manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor.
You can wait 30 seconds until these people clear.
We're not getting paid, we're staying.
What was going on? Almost, Trav. Just.
Pretty sure I go for 10 on that, bro. That's wide left. That's wide left, bro. But love you, though. Love you. Wide left.
All right, Trav, I think we're cool.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. As part of our ongoing budget discussion, we have brought two departments to review their budget and part of their department services so that the council and the community could have that opportunity to review that. So I will start with our interim CFO, David Kane, and he will go through the finance department.
Travis, real quick, David. I just want to set the table, so hopefully everyone watched the budget town hall that myself and Mayor Pat and Finance CFO David Kane had last week. We mentioned there that this is the biggest issue we're facing is fixing our structural budget issues where our reoccurring expenses exceed our recurring revenues. And so, as we mentioned last week, our goal is to be as transparent as possible. I don't think City Council has ever done this before, where we want to have every department come up during the public portion of the meeting, not during study session, to work through this as a community, to look for operational efficiencies in every single department, pursue revenue generating opportunities, and really focus on this for these weeks we have up until the end of June when we have to adopt our budget. So we wanted to get ahead of it. Our goal is to at least have 2 departments come up. And so tonight we have the finance department and then human resources. So I just wanted to set that table, that this is for as much public input as possible. And then we'll have another town hall coming up in next week, I believe. So just want to set the table and let the community know. David, go ahead. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mayor, City Council members, and community members. One of the things that I want to recognize when you talk about the finance department is it is less visible to the community, unlike Public Works, police, and fire. Most of our customers are internal customers. We're supporting the organization and the operations. So as we look at the, it's not moving forward. Okay. So in looking at the finance department budget, our expenditures are approximately $5.6 million. As you can see from this pie chart, the majority of it is personnel because our department is driven by the individuals that work within the finance department. Our operating expenditures are about $1.1 million. We also generate, through the activities of the finance department, one of the major revenue streams is business licensing and related miscellaneous licenses that generate about $2.7 million a year. Next, I wanted to show the organizational chart. So this identifies that we have 28.5 full-time equivalent employees in the finance department. We have it broken into 4 individual divisions. The administrative, which has 3.5 employees in it, our accounting services, which I will go into a little bit more detail in a moment here, our budget management, as well as our business licensing. Next slide. So one of the things that finance department really focuses on throughout the year is 3 major documents that are financially driven. The first is what we call the ACFR, the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. This is a historical document because it covers the prior fiscal year period. That report is typically completed in December. It was brought before this body for approval. And then we also, in conjunction with that ACFR, put together a high-level summary, which is called the PACFR. It's about 16 pages long, but it gives a high-level picture of where we have been in the last fiscal year. Currently, right now, we are in the 24-25 budget. We're operating with the current budget that was adopted last June. And we're looking at maintaining that and getting information out, working with the departments and ensuring that we're staying within the appropriated budget amounts. And then as this body saw at a previous city council meeting, we have put together a new updated long-range financial plan with information that includes 10 years worth of history plus our current year baseline, as well as a 10-year projection going forward. Next slide, please. So this breaks down the major category areas for the finance department itself. It's a detailed list here. I'm not going to go over every single item here, but I really wanted to identify that there's a lot of activities that take place in the finance department. One of them that you may not hear and see a lot about, but a lot of people take advantage of it, is we oversee the call center, which was really put in place during COVID. To give a place for people to be able to pick up a specific phone number, have somebody live pick up the phone and answer questions. When we look at the finance administration, we are also, as I indicated earlier, maintaining and keeping the long-range financial plan. We also support the Finance Commission. Finance Commission is made up of 7 members. Each member is appointed by an individual city council member. They meet on a monthly basis and go over financial information that goes into a lot more granular, so that they have the opportunity to come back to this body and make recommendations to the city council based on the information that they've been able to work through. The budget area, obviously we're dealing with that each and every day. The budget process is in reality year-round. It's not just as you ramp up to put together the new budget document. At the same time, we're maintaining the existing year and tracking all of those expenditures. When we look at the accounting services, one of the critical things is you want to make sure that payroll is getting out on time, that it's being done accurately, that we are handling all the payments for invoices that go out, as well as all of our utility billing. An important area as you look at the number of customers that are out there. And then also looking at maintaining internal controls, making sure that we are taking care of our fiduciary responsibilities, that we have internal controls that ensure that everything that's being done is being done in the correct manner. On the business licensing area, we have that division that's very involved in issuing regular business licenses, renewals, those types of activities. We also have one employee that goes out into the field to ensure that the businesses have a current business license in place. The business license is a tax, it's revenue generation. We also manage the various oil wells throughout the community that also generate money into the city. So next slide is kind of giving you a high level of what we do. So we have over 53,000 utility customers that we're sending out monthly utility bills for water, sewer, trash, recycling. Our staff there handles all of the phone calls that come in as it relates to new signups, drop-offs, questions about their utility bill. Anytime that I go into that area, they're always on the phone helping our customers as it relates to any of the utility billing challenges that they may have. Our business license team is managing over 19,000 business licenses every year, as well as over 3,000 new business licenses that get issued on a regular basis. And then, as I indicated earlier, we have those 3 major documents that we put together, but also our department is also putting together the state controller's report, which is done on an annual basis, the state street report, working in conjunction with Public Works Department on the Measure M, the half-cent sales tax money that we receive back, as well as the employee compensation report and a variety of other federal and state mandated reports that we're required to put together on an annual basis. I think one of the things that is important is to understand that because of the things that we've done, the policies that we have in place, because of the decisions that have been made in this community, we do have a AAA rating, which is the top rating that you can get for a municipal agency. We also receive award certificates for both our budget, our ACFR, as well as our PACFR document, what we call Triple Crown, which is pretty significant to be able to do that on a regular basis. Call center, 19,000 calls a year. Payroll is issuing 34,000 paychecks every 2 weeks, making sure that that's done, as well as doing the quarterly state and federal reports, the year-end W-2s, all of those types of activities that go on. We're also helping the departments in terms of purchase orders and requests for proposals. We do about 5,000 of those a year. And then accounts payable, over 36,000 invoices that get paid every year, as well as helping to send out some of the accounts receivable invoices numbering just over 6,000. So with that, I am open to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, go ahead. Mayor.
Go for it.
Thank you, David. Can you go back to the second slide? So just starting on the expenditure side, obviously I understand personnel, but on those operating expenses, that $1.1 million, I mean, with your limited time here, do you feel there's any efficiencies that can be created there to lower that amount? I mean, it looks like it's like 20% of the expense budget. Is there anywhere that you've seen that potentially we could look at to maybe create some efficiencies on the operating expenses side?
Yeah, so we've looked at a variety of things. That operating expenses also include contract services that we have with a variety of entities. So rather than necessarily relying on city staff, we're contracting with those organizations. So whether it's our feedback on sales tax, property tax, we have some consulting individuals that help us on the redevelopment activities that go on. But I look at everything, every opportunity that we can look at to reduce costs. We've had conversations about, you know, do we do the act for in-house? Do we contract out for it? So every opportunity that we have, we try and ensure that we're being as efficient and effective as we possibly can be.
Okay, perfect. And I know that, again, this is ongoing, so we have, you know, a few months, obviously, before June to find these efficiencies. But when you look at the revenue pie chart to the right, have you seen any potential new revenue generating opportunities or ways to increase current revenue streams that we have in the finance department?
Yeah, I mean, we've identified several. I think one of the things when you look at the business license area, I think it's something where we can go back and revisit the calculation that we have on business licensing. That is set by municipal code. That I think needs to be reviewed and can be updated. We've also looked at, and I know the Treasurer's Department is doing an audit on TOT. I've made the same recommendation on utility user tax to ensure that we're getting all of the revenue that should be coming to the city. So having those kinds of audits being performed. We work closely with the Treasurer's Office on banking activities and those types of involvements in handling our cash and tracking all of those dollars that come into the city.
Can you provide a little bit more detail on how our TOT, or transient occupancy tax through the hotels, it's really on an honor system, right? Unless we actually do an audit?
Yes,
Yeah.
and so the audit is actually going to be going in and looking at the individual hotels, looking at the rooms that they have. We do track it in terms of annually, how it compares year over year.
Okay.
We have a pretty good idea of what the average hotel room rate is and what their occupancy rate is. So we can look at it at a high level and be able to say, hey, it's within line to what we've had historically, or it's increased because room rates have increased. But having somebody go in and delve into each individual hotel and auditing the numbers that are in there is something that we're working on.
Awesome. And I just want to, again, bring in the community into this process because, you know, our city's 116 years old, and there's just a lot of procedures and systems we have in place that have just been, you know, the answer is it's just always been done that way, but we're getting really meticulous and going through every single aspect of each department and each process and system to see if we can create efficiencies and hopefully create more revenue. If you go to slide 3, please. I know it's a small org chart with only 28 full-time employees, but do you think any of these roles are duplicative, or can they be harnessed with other departments and maybe combined slightly, like say with like the Treasury Department from what you've seen so far?
So one of the things that we are working on, because some of the residents may not be aware, at one time the Treasury Department was within finance. It was separated out about 1.5 years ago. And so one of the things is that we're having an individual come in or a firm come in that'll actually look at the operational efficiencies for both finance and the Treasury Department to ensure that we're as efficient and as effective as we possibly can. So that is in process right now.
Nice. Okay. Let's see. I'm good on the next slide. Let's see, slide 6. So just on the services, I know there's a lot on here. And I know that was one of the topics of the town hall, was to try to prioritize services, as we'll have to moving forward. So I think that's kind of a tough question to answer now. I mean, we'll get into that later potentially, but are there some services here that potentially we can offload to the private sector through outsourcing, or some of those mechanisms from what you've seen? I know we've done that with Public Works in the past, but have you seen any of these services that we provide that maybe would save money if we were to outsource through the private sector?
I mean, we look at every opportunity that we can. I would say one of the things that we can improve in terms from a customer service perspective is our business licensing.
Yeah.
Currently, we're utilizing Acela, which is a planning tool. We really want to go to a platform that is really designed for businesses, because right now many businesses have to come into City Hall and actually fill out a piece of paper.
Yeah.
We want to be able to get that online so that they can do it 24/7. It's convenient to the business owners in the community. So that's something that we are looking at to improve efficiency.
Good.
Second area is we're implementing Data Ticket, which is a third party, which will help us with our outstanding not only business licensing code enforcement, but building and planning code enforcement. There's fire activities as well as police activities that can all go through Data Ticket. They manage it. They ensure that everything is being collected. What can't be collected gets turned over to the state intercept program, which means at the end of the day, if somebody owes the city money and they're subject to a state income tax refund, we get the money before the individual gets the money. So making sure that we've got every opportunity of collecting everything that's owed to us possible.
I want to really, again, emphasize that point, because in talking with some department heads, you know, we have Acela, which the Community Development Department uses, which is a good platform, but it's not necessarily a great platform for the Finance Department or Treasury, especially on the collection side and this Data Ticket. So actually, these old systems and procedures that we have are not actually recouping the money that we should from inspection fees or permit fees or violations. So there's a lot of accounts receivable out there that we just haven't been collecting. So this is a huge opportunity for us to really dig in and create a better system that we can use across all the other departments to make sure that we're recouping and receiving the money that's owed to the city through, you know, licenses and fees and violations. My last question is on the call center. I mean, is this a good use of your guys' time and resources, or is that something that we could potentially outsource with this, you know, these 19,000 calls per year from what you've seen so far?
Well, based on what I've observed the individuals doing in terms of handling those phone calls, is it really becomes a single point of contact. Those individuals keep up on everything that's going on in the community, changes that are happening daily, so they can answer those quickly, get information back to the caller that's making those calls. We also track the types of calls and maybe the repetition of them. So that gives us the opportunity to utilize other communication tools to get information out based on the types of calls that we're getting also. So I think it was a good outgrowth from COVID, and having somebody there as a single point rather than being pointed in different directions and trying to figure out who's the right person to talk to.
Awesome. No, I appreciate it. I mean, again, this is an excellent opportunity that we're providing for all the departments to come forward. And we keep saying it, we have tough structural budget issues, and there's a lot of pressure on every department. But just me personally, from the meetings I've had with the department heads, I mean, as you all know, pressure creates diamonds, and they're coming up with amazing ways to create efficiencies and, more importantly, create revenue. So I appreciate, David, you know, making the time to come up here and explain it so well.
All right, Don.
Thanks for the report, David. Just a couple quick questions. On the business license theme, 19,000 business license, 3,000 new. Do you know, just off the top of your head, how, not counting home-based business, things like that, but vacant commercial spaces that would require a business license, do you know what kind of a vacancy rate we have? For example, is there a potential for another 10,000 business license if we were at 100% occupied with commercial real estate? Is there any data on that?
I am not aware of any. That doesn't mean that there isn't any. So it would be something I would have to get back with you on. I know our business license individual would have a lot of that information. She's very experienced, having brought a good number of years of experience to Huntington Beach and has been here for a number of years.
I know there is some opportunity for, you fill those vacancies for business license, sales tax, and things like that. What's the average cost of a business license, just on average, roughly?
I don't know what that number is off the top of my head.
Okay. And the other question I have is on the payroll. I know maybe 1,000 full-time employees, maybe 600 plus part-time, that's 1,600 paychecks. 34,000 payroll checks. I understand we have vendors and things like that, but let's just say we have 2,000 employee checks going out. Who's receiving the other 32,000 checks?
Well, keep in mind there's 26 pay periods a year.
Oh, okay. I thought that was the pay period.
Yeah, no,
That's
there's
the
no,
annualized
this is,
checks.
This is annualized.
Okay, got it.
Yeah,
I was gonna
so
say, that's a
we
lot
have-
of checks going out
yeah.
every 2 weeks.
We have checks going out every 2 weeks. We also have special pays
Okay.
that will go out. We will have, in some cases, depending on the timing of a MOU agreement, where we have retroactive calculations that have to go out. We've got final paychecks for employees that are leaving in the middle of a pay period.
Yeah.
So
I think you sized it up with the annualized. I thought it was biweekly. So I think Casey's correct. I think everybody agrees, getting automated systems in place is an expense worth creating, because it'll pay for itself quickly, especially on anything that collects money and makes things easier. So thanks for the report. Appreciate it.
yeah, and I just might clarify that the minimum license fee in each classification is at least $75 a year, and then it depends on the number of employees that are in the organization. It's adjusted by the number of employees.
So on that note, it's an annual fee, right?
Correct.
So
And
that
an
would be
annual renewal.
So do we have, on the technology piece, a good ticker that tells us Johnny's business license is expired, or we rely on Johnny to come and go, hey, I'm here, I wanna
No,
pay?
we know exactly what business licenses are expired in any given month.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
David, are those physical checks that are going out that we're cutting, or is it or direct deposit, or are they
No,
all-
most of them are direct deposit.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. I think that completes that part. Travis, you got another one?
Yes, the other department we have tonight is our our HR department, I'm sorry, and Marissa Sir, our Director of Human Resources, will provide the report.
Oh, yeah, it's working. All right, good evening. Tonight I'll be providing you with a brief overview of the Human Resources Department, and similar to Finance, we are primarily internal services department. So jumping right into our budget, you'll see our general fund budget is almost 2.9 million, with operating expenses at 616,000 and personnel at 2.24. And then the Human Resources Department in total is 15 full-time equivalent employees. You've got 3 in the administration side of things, 9 in human resources, and human resources is divided into your functions that have to do with recruitment, class and compensation, and benefits, and some employee relations. And then risk management has 3 employees. So diving into Human Resources Division and Services, again, we are an internal services department. We strive to provide excellent customer service to our internal departments. That comes in the form of many different advisory roles. And then speaking specifically to administration, we develop and maintain policies, rules, and regulations for citywide, and we can work with departments specifically if they have specific needs as well. We ensure compliance with the laws, federal, state, and local. We plan and implement citywide training, and we offer a variety of trainings having to do with legal compliance, but also professional development for employees as well. We administer all of the city's MOUs, employment MOUs, and we manage the meet and confer process with each of our collective bargaining groups. We assist all departments with employee relation matters. That could be anything from, your pay inquiries to investigations or progressive discipline, and we support the Personnel Commission. And then switching over to human resources, as I said, that's going to cover the benefits and recruitment and selection, classification, and compensation. They ensure the adherence to the Affordable Care Act related compliance reporting. Under the ACA, qualifying employers are required to offer affordable care health insurance that meets the minimum value standards to their full-time employees and their dependents. Employers subject to this mandate, which the city is, must file forms with the IRS detailing the health insurance options offered to employees, and noncompliance with this can result in fines to the employer, but depending on the number of impacted employees. They also administer, I'm just going to shorten it to COBRA. COBRA is a federal law that requires employers to offer continuity of employer-sponsored health programs for a limited time after employees experience certain qualifying events. They also administer the city's various health plans that has to do with health insurance for all of the covered employees. They coordinate leaves, disability, and return to work programs. Again, that's in compliance with federal, state, and local laws. They manage the recruitment process, including collaboration with the hiring departments to identify the needs. They develop recruitment plans and identify any resources to assist with the more complex recruitment challenges that may be facing the departments. They administer the city's classification and compensation plan. Making updates to that classification and compensation plan may involve meeting and conferring with the associations. It may also have to do with working with the departments to figure out what updates are needed. Again, going back to compliance with, in particular, state law, it could have to do with certain requirements of certain classifications needing to be updated in compliance with the law. And then also they process the personnel action forms. Now these forms are submitted by departments and they're essentially requesting an action of human resources and ultimately payroll. It could be an appointment, it could be a promotion, change in pay status, placing an employee on leave. We review all of these personnel action forms for compliance with, again, federal, state law, and then compliance with MOUs and the personnel rules to make sure that people are being paid appropriately and in compliance with these things. Switching over to risk management, they oversee the workers' compensation program for the city. They work with a third-party administrator who handles the day-to-day claims administration. However, their involvement is to make sure that employees are receiving appropriate medical treatment and the benefits that are being provided appropriately through the workers' compensation program. We work with them to make sure that essentially it's the customer service component for our employees to make sure they've got a point of contact in case they can't get a hold of their adjusters. They also oversee the general liability claims administration. This is a little bit more public facing. This is having to do with claims that are filed against the city regarding property damage maybe or personal injury involving city property. Again, they work with the departments closely on these and a TPA, similar to workers' comp, to investigate the claims, figure out if there's liability, what the resolution should be. They ensure citywide compliance with OSHA and specifically Cal OSHA regulations. This can be in the form of discussing with departments what their safety hazards may be, what the mitigation efforts should be. If there are, under Cal OSHA regulations, we're required to have certain safety programs written and training requirements in place, and they provide those services as well. And then they work with the city's insurance broker to secure all lines of insurance coverage for the city. That's our liability insurance, workers' comp coverage, property coverage, et cetera. While renewals are typically at June 30th, it's a year-long process. So typically by mid-July, we've started the renewal process for the next fiscal year, the next coverage period. And then beyond that, they also review the insurance requirements and the insurance documents, for all contracts that come through the city. So while most contracts have indemnification language, the insurance is actually the financial backing for that. And so their role is to not just confirm that the contractors say they have the insurance, but collect those documents, review them for compliance, and keep them on file so that we know if something were to happen, we can essentially tender a claim to the contractor. So that's risk management. Some additional operational details for you and performance data have to do with initiation of recruitment processes. We've received, reviewed, and processed more than 13,000 employment applications in the last year. Processed over 3,000 personnel action forms, received and processed over 1,500 certificates of insurance. Again, that has to do with any of our contracts. That can also have to do with specific event permits as well. Received and processed 163 liability claims, administered the health plans and benefits for the 8 bargaining groups and non-associated employees as well. Facilitated 27 training opportunities for city staff. We've conducted in a calendar year 11 new employee orientations, that's 1 a month, and then conducted several RFPs, including placements for general liability and workers' comp TPAs. And with that, if there are any questions?
Yeah, Marissa, same line of questioning, just based on your limited time here so far, I mean, have you seen any ways to create operational efficiencies and kind of limit the expenses side of your department?
Yeah, so especially being newer here, where I'm always looking at what are we doing, why have we done it, can we do it differently? So looking into expenses related to, well, we've started to do more training, trying to tap into that and bring our employees up to speed with some of the trainings, but can we offer them online instead of bringing someone in person? Or if we're bringing someone in person, can we look for someone local who's competitively priced rather than paying for someone who's going to travel? And looking in our operating budget, we also pay for all of the medical screenings that have to do with onboarding employees. So evaluating what are we legally allowed to and required to screen people for, and can we dial back some of those to the extent it's not something that's medically necessary for a job. So looking at where we can cut expenses there. In addition, we've taken a look at just kind of overall, when anything's coming in, is it competitively priced? Is it something that we can be doing in-house? Is it something that needs to be done? What is the benefit? What's the outcome? What is the impact for our customers if we do or don't provide it? So yeah, it's something that we're always looking at.
What about like on the workman's comp side, like,
Yeah.
limiting our workman's comp exposure
Yeah.
and claims and insurance, premium rates and all those things?
Yeah, absolutely. So on the workers' comp side of things, we work really closely with the TPA, with Intercare's our TPA. We work really close with them to make sure that we don't have employees who are sitting out for a long period of time, not getting the medical care they need, and not coming back to work quickly. So we're fairly, I hate to say the word aggressive, but we stay in close contact with them and make sure the employees are in close contact with us and engaged in the process too.
Okay.
That way they get the care they need right away. They feel like they're being attended to, but also it keeps them engaged with work and able to come back. And if they can come back in a light duty capacity rather than full duty, that's okay, but at least they're coming back to work and being able to provide meaningful work in the meantime.
Are there any like revenue generating opportunities or not really, right?
Not really. I will say though that we work closely with the General Liability TPA to get expense recovery.
Okay.
So to the extent there's property damage to city property, we work closely with them to see where we can recover money in that aspect. Similarly with insurance, we're always looking for where we can collect money from them as well. It's a little bit more challenging, but in that respect, I would say we're more focused on cost containment,
Yeah.
and doing what we can to protect the city.
I mean, similar thing, is there an issue with like your current systems that have been limiting like proper collection and make sure that our accounts receivable are actually trued up and that we're receiving like, the reimbursements we need? Like, sounds like David and some other departments need a better system than Acela. I mean, you guys experiencing the same thing?
So I'm not as intimately familiar with that. I could look into it a little bit more with you,
Yeah.
but I do know that Deanna, our risk manager, has been working more closely with finance to make sure that we are, on the human resources side of things, we're able to provide the information they need to help with collections as well.
Okay.
So it's something that, again, if there's money that we can look to recover that we are supposed to be recovering, whatever we can do proactively to do so, we are.
Okay, thank you.
Don.
Thanks for the report, Marissa. I want to commend you. I like the way you start off with some of the cost savings. It's a good way to think. It seems so logical, but can I get a local trainer as opposed to somebody who has to travel? The med screens, things like that. So you have to continue to do that. So, do you guys ever share when you save some money, expenses? Does it get pushed upward to all the other departments because that helps other departments think of, hey, maybe I can do something similar in my department? Do you guys share that information?
As a management team?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we meet biweekly, and so to the extent there was something that we thought could benefit more than just our department, that is something we would discuss, in our roundtable.
Okay, good. On the personnel services, 78% of the budget, is that just payroll or what does that cover?
It's the total cost of an employee, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but it would be health, salary, benefits, all of those things.
Okay, right, the total package, but it's purely payroll for the employee, health, salary benefits.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Butch.
Thank you, Marissa, for your report. I just have one question. Does the city go out annually to the market for general liability and workers' comp insurance, competitive proposals?
Yeah, so the city has an agreement with a broker of record who does work annually we have a current participation in a pool, PRISM, but they also go out and compare the coverage that we receive through PRISM to the market and see what we can get and if there's anything more competitive, and to the extent there's something that we can explore, or even piecing out insurance. So for an example, on property insurance, being able to piece it out so you've got coverage for structures and then flood and earthquake, separating those out. Sometimes you can find cost savings there. We explore those options. With general liability, you can also look at switching out different layers of coverage. So less exposure for an insurer who has the higher layer might be more cost savings. So we always look at those things, yes.
But we renew annually, right?
Renew annually, yes.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Case.
Yeah, before we wrap this, Shannon, do you mind putting that slide up? So this came up in the town hall, and there's a statement made tonight about it, and a previous council member came up at the town hall claiming they left us with a $15 million surplus. And that's not the case. If you guys see that tall blue bar in the middle there with the green box around it, that's all the COVID money that came in. So that's not true at all that there was a $15 million surplus. That was all COVID money. And to reiterate, the issue is that we have structural issues where our reoccurring expenses exceed our reoccurring revenues. And so we're working really hard every single day and through these next council meetings to have the departments come up, along with obviously discussions at City Hall, to find out, efficiencies and revenue opportunities so we can flip that where our reoccurring revenues exceed our reoccurring expenses. So I just wanted to point that out because that's come up a few times, and that tall bar in the middle, that was just COVID money. So thank you.
Done.
Yeah, one last quick question. This is actually for both departments. So when I see the personnel expense and then the FTE headcount, do either of those departments have any part-time people? You reflect in your org chart FTE. Is that it? No part-time?
So for finance, yes, we have a couple of individuals that are part-time. That's part of the reason why there's also a half FTE in there. But currently we have 4 part-timers.
Okay. And they're so they're, for example, on finance where it says 28.5 FTEs. Is it 28.5 FTEs plus 4 part-time, or is that the aggregate?
The part-timers are included in that number.
Got it. Would that stand true for you, Marissa, too?
We have 2 part-timers in human resources, and they are paid out of a professional services account. So they aren't included in the personnel as far as I know.
Okay, so the personnel divided into the full-time on your org chart, that would be accurate for the
Correct.
math. Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Good information. We're going to move on to the consent item, consent calendar. Dawn, you want to pull 12 and 14?
Yes, Mayor, thank you.
Butch?
I want to pull 13.
13. Anybody else?
Move the rest of the consent calendar.
Second. All right. Can you call the roll, ma'am?
Let me just repeat. The first was Strickland.
Yes.
Second, Vandermark.
Yes.
Okay. So we are moving the consent calendar with items 11 and 15. Items 12, 13, and 14 were pulled.
Yes.
Excellent. Councilman Twining.
Yes.
Councilman Kennedy.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem McKeon.
Yes.
Mayor Burns.
Aye.
Councilwoman Vandermark.
Yes.
Councilman Strickland.
Aye.
Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Items number 11 and 15 pass 7-0.
All right. Don, number 12.
Yeah, the reason I wanted to pull it really was just to inform the public. So the legislation document that's delineated there is basically, it talks about things that are important to Huntington Beach. It talks about our positioning for future legislation that may be coming out of Sacramento. So you see in there different things. One of them that I wanted to just touch base on was the sober living facilities. When you see what the document says, good neighbor policy and spread amongst the facilities and things like that, a lot of those things can't be changed currently. So that document's more forward-looking should there be additional legislation coming down that we could advocate based on the way the documents are written against some of that legislation. But what I wanted to point out, just recently I met with one of our concerned citizens who came and spoke before the council, and I met with City Attorney Vigliota and Connor as well. And one of the takeaways that I thought was productive is he was concerned that, and I was concerned as well too, citizens don't really know the difference between a licensed facility, a sober living home, what you can say to a neighbor, you know, and we wanted to let him know that information is not discrimination. So what we kind of settled on was our legal department's going to create a document that's going to be for the public and even potentially put out through our communication channel through the city, a document that could be printed out to neighbors that basically says what a licensed facility is, delineates the parameters of the scope of things they can do, what the spreads are regarding frequency or locations, and the things that they can't do. And the same would stand true for, like, for example, the sober living homes. There's things that they can do, and then there's things that they can't do. And so the citizens need to know the different things that they, for example, can't do so they can be aware of what is not good neighbor. And so, for example, a sober living house can't have an employee. It has to have a manager that's part of the family group. Different things like that. They can't administer medicine. You can't have vans transporting off to off-site meetings and things like that. The reason for the document is an informed public is therefore going to be much more confident in understanding whether or not there's a code enforcement violation that should be reported. So the document will be created by our legal department. Is that correct, Mr. Vigliota? You're working on that?
We are, yes.
Okay. So when we have that, I think it'll be good for our public. I see on the Facebook forums, hey, what can I do? I live by a sober living house. So all I want to know, or all I want our citizens to know is information is powerful, accurate information is going to be viable for them, and they'll have a good understanding of what they can do, what the facilities can't do, and you know, the code enforcement information. So I think that will be somewhat helpful for our residents. So that's why I wanted to pull the item. With that being said, I'd like to move that consent item 12.
Anybody else? Roll call, please.
I have a first by Kennedy, second by Burns.
No. Second by Strickland.
Councilmember Twining,
Yes.
Councilmember Kennedy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem McKeon.
Yes.
Mayor Burns.
Aye.
Councilwoman Vandermark.
Yes.
Councilman Strickland.
Aye.
Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Item number 12 passes 7-0.
All right, Butch.
Thank you, Mayor. While we commend South Coast AQMD for its commitment to improving air quality in our region, these proposed amendments present significant concerns for our residents here in Huntington Beach, including economic hardships, technological feasibility, environmental trade-offs, and a lack of public engagement, much less public awareness. Rule 1111 regulates air emissions from gas-powered furnaces. Rule 1121 would regulate air emissions from residential-type water heaters and gas appliances. These two rules would ban gas-powered furnaces and water heaters in new construction beginning in 2026. Beginning in 2027, they start a phase-out period where these appliances will begin to phase out process for existing single and multifamily homes and businesses. A gentleman tonight said that multifamily is not included in this. That's not correct. This is all projects. This is all homes and all multifamily and businesses. Historically, AQMD has required large stationary sources of air pollution like oil refineries and warehouses. However, Rules 1111 and 1121 have now targeted individual homeowners, apartment buildings, and businesses large and small. Aren't our electric bills high enough already? How will our electrical grid, one that sees rolling brownouts and brownouts regularly during the summer months, handle this increased demand? Imagine the cost to retrofit your house. In Huntington Beach, there's 77,000 residential units that have natural gas in them. 77,000. Conservative estimates of the retrofit and new furnace appliances, water heaters, as well as the costly upgrades of electrical panels will be in excess on an average of $50,000. Much, much more for the multifamily residential developments and businesses. These policies will disproportionately affect our senior citizens and the poor. While we all support sustainability of our environment, such measures like 1111 and 1121 should remain optional. If a senior citizen has their gas furnace go down, their only choice is to freeze or go broke paying for a new electric furnace. Huntington Beach residents deserve and want choice of energy provided to their respective residents. If they want electric only, great, go for it. If they want gas or a combination gas and electrics, that's good too. What's the trade-off here? The SC AQMD says less nitrogen oxide, NOx. But at what cost? Electricity and the electrical grid is not zero emission. Estimates are a fully electrical society might reduce nitrogen dioxide by 20 to 30%. That's it. But generating the new electric power demand will offset most of that. Southern California Gas Company, a leading provider of natural gas in the state, actively supports California's efforts to meet federal air quality standards, decarbonization goals, and net zero targets. Southern California Gas Company are currently working on innovative solutions to deliver clean, reliable, and affordable energy to residents and businesses. In light of these concerns, we should urge the SCAQMD to reconsider the amendments, the amendments to the rules 1111 and 1121. Policies that force an abrupt transition away from natural gas without addressing the associated cost, infrastructure challenges, and equity impacts will create significant hardships on the citizens of Huntington Beach and beyond. Therefore, I make a motion to send a letter to the SCAQMD expressing our opposition to PAR 111 and 1121.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
First by Twining, second by McKeon. Councilman Twining,
Yes.
Councilman Kennedy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem McKeon,
Yes.
Mayor Burns.
Aye.
Councilwoman Vandermark. Yes. Councilman Strickland.
Aye.
Councilman Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Don, number 14.
Thank you. I just wanted to get clarity on this, the ask for an additional $385,000. So for the vendor, we gave him a payment of $95,000. So I just want, is this next payment of $385 just a holding figure to get to the contract value, but is it paid in full now, or is it drawn down as needed?
The second, so it's drawn down as needed. What we're asking for is just contract authority through the end of the contract, and then we'll ask for the funding on an annual basis during the budget process. And that'll be a more realistic picture of what we need annually, depending on the circumstances, permit activity, volume of inspections, that sort of thing.
Okay, so the original contract was the sum total of $385 and $95, $480,000, taking it out through 2027, correct?
Yes.
So the 95 has been paid. So as they continue to do the inspections, will they invoice us? Or are we going to cut a check for a certain portion of the remaining 385?
No, so they'll invoice us on a monthly basis, and we watch inspection activity on a monthly basis. So there may be some months where we utilize the contract inspector maybe half the time, and as permit activity picks up, they might be 3/4 time. So we monitor it monthly, and so that we get invoiced monthly based on how much we have that contract inspector work.
Okay, perfect. And then the last bullet on Exhibit B5, any billing for extra work or additional services authorized in advance. Are we I saw their scope. It's basically inspections on their responsibility. So they delineated extra work in bullet number 5 on Exhibit B. Are we conducting, what would be extra work?
That would be if they had to come into like the permit counter and we needed like a permit tech or something, or if the inspector had to come in on a big project and sit through like a phasing meeting or something. We generally don't have them do that. We've never have them do permit services.
Okay. If they did, they would still be being paid at the hourly rate table based in Exhibit B?
If it were the contract inspector that we were using, yes, for permit counter services, it would be probably a lower hourly amount.
Okay, thank you. With that said, I'd like to move the item.
Motion made by Kennedy, second by Strickland.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Twining,
Stepped out for a second.
Oh,
Councilman Kennedy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem McKeon.
Yes.
Mayor Burns,
aye.
Councilwoman Vandermark,
Yes.
Councilman Strickland,
Aye.
Councilman Williams.
Yes.
Would you like to?
Twining absent.
Twining absent.
All right.
Motion passes 6-0, Twining absent.
Yes. All right. We'll move on to number 16. I'll move that.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All right, call the roll, please.
1 second.
Mayor?
Yes.
We do have to provide a presentation required by CalPERS.
Oh, okay.
So Marissa Sir will provide the staff report.
Hi, good evening. So yes, as Travis indicated, California law does require that a brief presentation be given for the salient provisions of this contract, and with that, I will keep it short and sweet. Pursuant to the city charter, the city manager position is excluded from the competitive process, allowing for the council to appoint a candidate who's chosen based on their executive and administrative qualifications. And as a matter of background, following the resignation of the former city manager in November 2023, council appointed Police Chief Parra as interim city manager / police chief, and then moving forward to November of 2024, appointed Travis Hopkins as the acting city manager. Travis has been with the city since 2006 when he joined as the Public Works Director, and he has served in the city manager's office as the assistant city manager since 2019. I'm sorry, I just realized I have the clicker. So getting into the salient provisions of the contract duration is for 4 years. The proposed agreement provides for a contract term of 4 years beginning in March 15th, 2025. In terms of compensation, the annual salary will be $311,000. It's $311,750. There are no salary increases built into the contract, but the City Council may approve merit-based increases at the Council's direction and decision. All other benefits are tied to the non-associated employee pay and benefits resolution, including provision of leave benefits, health insurance contributions, life and accidental death and dismemberment insurance, and auto allowance. Last, the council may terminate this employment agreement at any time with or without cause. If the council decides to terminate the agreement without cause, the agreement stipulates that unless at least 6 months' notice is given to Mr. Hopkins prior to that, he'll be eligible for 6 months' pay and benefits. And that concludes my report. The recommended action would be to adopt Resolution 2025-17, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Huntington Beach approving Travis Hopkins as city manager and execute the related city manager employment agreement. I'm available for questions if you have any.
It's been first and second. No questions.
Burns and Strickland. Councilman Twining.
Yes.
Councilman Kennedy.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem McKeon.
Yes.
Mayor Burns.
Aye.
Councilwoman Vandermark.
Yes.
Councilman Strickland.
Aye.
Councilman Williams.
Yes.
Item passes 7-0.
Welcome.
I just want to say quickly, thank you, Mayor, City Council members. I've been honored to serve this community for the last over 18 years and happy to do so going forward. So thank you very much.
All right.
We're going to make you work, Travis. You know that. We got you on the cheap.
All right, we're going to move on with item 17. Do we have a report we have to do?
Yes,
We do? Do we have to do it?
yes.
Okay.
All right. At the last city council meeting, council directed staff to return with possible election options. Based on that direction, the options are A, adopt resolution number 2025-09, calling for and ordering the holding of a general election on Tuesday, November 3rd, 2026. Or option B, call for a special election to be held not less than 88 days nor more than 103 days after the order of the election.
And that's for both measures. It applies to both measures.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion for option B and shoot for Tuesday, 6/10/2025 for resolution 2025-20. And then on number 2, 2025-21, also 6/10, June 10th, 2025. And then the written arguments will be, I propose, Gracie, Casey, and myself, and also the rebuttal arguments for number 4, Casey, Gracie, and myself.
Second.
Mayor, just to clarify, the arguments are the against arguments, correct?
Yes, sir. Any discussion?
Nope.
It's been first and seconded. Please call them roll.
I have a first by Burns, second by Vandermark. Call the roll. Councilman Twining,
Yes.
Councilman Kennedy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem McKeon,
Yes.
Mayor Burns,
Aye.
Councilwoman Vandermark,
Yes.
Councilman Strickland,
Aye.
Councilman Williams.
Yes.
Items number 17 and 18 pass 7-0.
Madam Clerk, actually, if we could go back, let's actually, I misspoke. Let's do item 18 as well.
Yeah,
separately.
that was for 17, actually.
Okay.
No, item 18, I will make the motion for B. Item number 1, for Tuesday, the date be set for June 10th, 2025. Item 2, that also be set for June 10th, 2025. And then for the written arguments, it'll be Casey, Gracie, and myself. And also for the rebuttal arguments, it'll be Casey, Gracie, and myself.
Second.
Any discussion? Any discussion from the dais? Okay. Yeah. Call the roll, please.
Councilman Twining,
Yes.
Councilman Kennedy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem McKeon,
Yes.
Mayor Burns,
Aye.
Councilwoman Vandermark,
Yes.
Councilman Strickland,
Aye.
Councilman Williams.
Yes.
Item passes 7-0.
Okay. With the city council position being vacated by council member Strickland, can you please be quiet up there? I would ask that the city manager place on the next agenda an item to appoint a new council member to take Tony's place. I would ask that any council member that would like to submit a name for consideration, provide that name to Travis Hopkins, the city manager, prior to the agenda for March 18th and before it's posted, for that agenda's posted. And that's it. And,
Motion to adjourn?
second. All right. Motion to adjourn has been heard. Next regularly scheduled meeting of the Huntington Beach City Council and Public Financing Authority is Tuesday, March 18th, 2025, in the Civic Center, Council Chambers, 2000 Main Street, Huntington Beach, California. We are adjourned